Harry Kane scored 2 goals. Jude Bellingham scored 1. Marcus Rashford scored late to make sure there was no doubt about the result. England beat Croatia 4-2 in one of the most exciting World Cup opening games in years. It felt like a throwback to 2018, when these same two teams met in a World Cup semifinal that English fans still talk about, with a mix of pride and heartbreak. But the thing everyone is talking about this morning is not any of those 4 goals. It is the boos at AT&T Stadium in Dallas. 22 minutes into the first half, the game stopped. The players walked over to the sidelines. The coaches jogged onto the field to give instructions. And the crowd, a stadium full of England and Croatia fans who had waited years for this match, who had paid a lot of money to be there, who had planned their whole summer around this one night, answered with boos. The boos were loud enough that the TV microphones picked them up clearly. FIFA's required water break had arrived, and for the first time this clearly, the fans told FIFA exactly what they thought of it. Here's the part that really matters. AT&T Stadium has a roof that can open and close. That night, the roof was closed and the air conditioning was running. FIFA's reason for these breaks is the risk of extreme heat to the players. But that risk did not apply inside a closed, air-conditioned building, and the fans noticed right away. One fan's reaction, shared widely online, summed up the mood perfectly. Roof closed, air conditioners on, so why are they taking a hydration break? I hate this American World Cup. That sentence is worth thinking about, because it is not really about water. It is about something this tournament has been promising and failing to deliver ever since the day it was given to North America. Let's go back to the start of that promise, because the gap between what FIFA said this World Cup would be and what fans are actually experiencing has become the biggest story of this tournament's opening week. When FIFA won the right to bring the World Cup back to North America, the words football's governing body used were anything but modest. This would be the biggest World Cup in history. 48 teams instead of 32, 104 games instead of 64. 6 billion viewers expected. A 20% jump over Qatar's numbers, $11 billion in revenue. The greatest World Cup ever held. FIFA President Gianni Infantino has repeated the same kind of phrase again and again in FIFA's own promotional materials. The biggest, the best, the most accessible, the most spectacular World Cup the sport has ever produced. And 1 week into the tournament, fans are talking about the parts FIFA never planned to put in the spotlight. The hydration break started with a real, fair reason behind them. More than a year before the tournament began, researchers at Queen's University Belfast warned FIFA that a heat and humidity measurement, called the wet bulb globe temperature, would reach higher levels in several American host cities than the levels Qatar avoided by moving its World Cup to winter. That is a real scientific worry. Players collapsing from heat exhaustion is a real danger. No one serious thinks players' safety should be ignored. But here is where things get interesting, and where the fans' anger actually has some real reason behind it, not just impatience. Ian Wright, who spent decades as both a player and a broadcaster, who understands football's rhythm as well as anyone in the game, said it plainly while covering the tournament. He called the breaks another way to fit advertisements into the game from an American point of view. He said FIFA uses player welfare as a reason, but for him, that does not change what the breaks are actually for. Whether or not you fully agree with him, it is hard to argue with how it looks. FIFA's broadcast partners in the United States are filling those 3-minute windows with advertising. The break split every single match into 4 separate quarters instead of 2 halves, a real change to the basic shape of football, introduced at the same World Cup that will feature, for the first time in the tournament's 96-year history, a full entertainment halftime show at the final. 2 changes, both pointing in the same direction. More room for commercials built right into the matches themselves. It's only fair to say that not every broadcaster is treating these breaks the same way. In the United Kingdom, the BBC does not show ads at all and kept showing live pictures from the stadium through the stoppages. ITV thought about selling ad space during the breaks, talked with possible advertisers, and decided against it in the end. So this is not the same money grab everywhere in the world. Some broadcasters chose to hold back, but the decision to add these breaks in the first place belongs to FIFA, and the temptation it created was strong enough that a major British broadcaster actually had to have an internal debate about whether to take advantage of it. For some people watching from home, there's a real practical upside too. A chance to stand up, make a drink, and step away from the screen without missing any action. Not everyone sees this as something forced on them. But that is a different question from whether the same rule makes sense in a closed, air-conditioned dome as it does in open-air, blistering heat. Those are not the same situation, and treating them as if they were exactly what the fans in Dallas were booing. Now, here is where this connects to something bigger than one stoppage in one match, because the hydration break argument is not a one-time event. It is part of a pattern that started building before the tournament even began, and the jersey controversies sit right next to it. Just days before the tournament opened, FIFA ordered Egypt to remove 7 stars from their jerseys. Each star stood for one Africa Cup of Nations title, 7 championships won across 6 decades, more continental titles than any other African nation has ever won. FIFA's reasoning was technical, and it matched FIFA's own rulebook. Stars placed above a national crest are saved for World Cup wins, and Egypt has never won a World Cup. So the stars came off days before kickoff, with kit maker Puma rushing to redo official jerseys that were already being made. Around the same time, Haiti was told that its jersey broke FIFA's rule against political imagery. The original design, made by manufacturer Seta, showed the Battle of Verdières, the decisive 1803 battle of the Haitian Revolution, the moment that won Haiti its independence and made it the first nation in the world founded by a successful uprising against slavery. Seta called it a tribute, not a political statement. FIFA disagreed, and the jersey was pulled. Haiti's players had already worn it in a warm-up match against Peru. It became one of the most wanted, most talked-about kits in the lead-up to the tournament, banned before it ever appeared in a real competitive match. 2 different rulings, 2 different reasons, both technically defensible under FIFA's own written rules, and both landing in the same tight window before kickoff, as stories about a governing body telling proud football nations what they are and are not allowed to say about themselves, on the one stage where the whole world is watching. None of these stories, the boos in Dallas, the stars removed from Egypt's crest, or the revolutionary imagery stripped from Haiti's jersey, are disasters on their own. The tournament has not fallen apart. The football, by every account, has been excellent. England and Croatia played a true classic. Messi matched an all-time scoring record in his opening match. Norway marked their World Cup return with a statement win. There is no shortage of brilliant football to talk about, but the greatest World Cup ever was always going to be judged on more than just goals scored. And one weekend, the stories getting the most attention are the ones where fans, pundits, and entire football nations feel that decisions are being made about their experience and their identity without them in the room. Decisions made for reasons that sound reasonable on paper but feel very different in real life. A boo in a Dallas stadium with the roof closed is a small thing by itself, but it is the kind of small thing that adds up. It joins the list along with complaints about ticket prices, the visa problem several teams have faced just getting into the host countries, and now the question of who gets to decide what a flag, a star, or a moment in history actually means on a football jersey. What do you think about the hydration breaks at this point? A real safety measure, a commercial interruption, or a bit of both depending on the stadium? And does the Egypt and Haiti jersey situation feel like FIFA is simply enforcing its own rules fairly, or something that deserves more flexibility? Given what those symbols truly mean to those countries, I would genuinely like to know what you think. Leave it in the comments. I read every one. If you found this worth your time, a like helps more than you would think. Subscribe if you want more of this kind of football conversation, all the way through to the final in July. Football at this scale is never just a tournament. It is a moment in time. And 1 week in 2026 is already proving to be a complicated story.